It's time to welcome back Benjamin Loughnane from Migration Watch UK. Benjamin, a very good afternoon to you. Welcome.
Good afternoon.
Thanks very much indeed for joining us. Slightly alarming because, of course, over the course of the last, month or two, we've been very much focusing, Nigel Farage has been on the show, you've been on the show talking about it as well, the increase in numbers coming across the channel in this year particularly is up to as many as 5,000, we're now being told. But also now, it turns out there's a growing number of teenage young men coming over in the back of a lorry again.
Well, yes, it's. I think during the summer when lockdown was on and there were less ferries going across the channel, there were less lorries going through the channel. What we had was the curtain being thrown back on the sheer scale of illegal immigration in this country, which usually ordinary people won't see and won't be aware of. But when you can see it in the channel, in the boats, in the dinghies, and they're coming across, it's a very striking optical image of the scale of this problem. But now that all of those other routes are going back to normal, all of the lorries are coming across and all of the ferries are returning to their normal service, they are starting to exploit, again, the routes which they would have exploited before. And I'm just worried that if boat crossings decrease as a result, the government will claim it as a huge victory. Oh, look, we've stopped boat crossings by doing absolutely nothing, and then brush it under the carpet once again.
Well, indeed. I mean, as the leader of Kent County Council quoted as saying, we've seen significant numbers of these young teenagers from Chad, Eritrea and Sudan. Awareness of the route has clearly become a significant factor. Now, this takes me back to a call we had a little while ago from a guy in the Isle of Man whose daughter is working in one of the refugee camps in Sudan, and he told me that she's told him that there are human traffickers basically turning up in Sudan with mobile phones, picking off these young guys and saying to them, how'd you like to go to Britain? Here's what you can get if you get there, and here's what you do to sign up to be part of our kind of human trafficking gang. And that's clearly now a massive business.
Yeah, there's this misconception that these are the huddled masses desperately getting into dinghies and trying to cross the channel of their own accord. But this is a huge multinational global business. It is starting in places like Sudan and Iran, and it is coming across. There are only about 2,000 people in the Calais camp, and yet over 6,000 have crossed this year alone. So they're not coming just from Calais or Dunkirk or Belgium. They're coming all the way with the destination in mind of Britain,
right,
because they know that our government are too weak and too ineffective to deal with this problem properly. There are so many pull factors, there are so many incentives to come to Britain that they're actually going to make the trip through countless safe countries just to get here, where they know we're a soft touch. They take our kindness for weakness and they exploit it and they manipulate it, and we allow them to do it because we will not change the law.
And we're told by those in the know, yourself included, that most of the people coming on dinghies would not qualify under the UN's definition of asylum seekers. Are we talking the same situation with these young men? Because they're coming, it would seem, from war-torn countries.
Well, absolutely. The vast majority do not qualify as asylum seekers. But even if they do, they pass through so many safe countries that they don't qualify as refugees here. So I believe of those who have come over this year, 71 have been turned down on the basis of the fact that they're in the wrong country. You know, they're claiming refuge in the wrong country. Right. But it doesn't matter, because most of them will never be returned to where they came from. Most of them will continue to game the asylum system for years and years and years while taking advantage of Britain's generosity and weakness. And they know they'll never have to go back to where they've come from. So they don't really care that much, I think, about getting granted asylum. In fact, it's just about getting to Britain and being able to milk the system, which is so weak and ineffective.
And as you say, once they manage to physically land here, it's incredibly difficult to get rid of them. Now, we've heard Priti Patel, haven't we? Every time the story kind of pops up and gets a little bit of coverage on the mainstream news, that she's going to be cracking down on it, that she's sent more people home, that basically they're going to change the law. There was the group of Common Sense MPs, we've spoken to many of them, who were having meetings with the Home Office. There was a Home Office Home Affairs Select Committee meeting yesterday, which these figures have come from. But it looks still as though there's not a lot actually changing.
Well, it's all well and good to talk about it, and they've done a lot of talking, and they've talked very tough, and they've had a vast number of PR stunts, but it doesn't do anything. You need to change the law. You need to eliminate the pull factors. You need to bring in tougher sentencing and punishment for the people who are involved in human trafficking, because at the moment, it is actually a financially sensible decision to be complicit in human trafficking, to turn a blind eye when people are leaving France, if it's your job to stop them from doing that, or to if you're a lorry driver, to say, oh, okay, then go and sneak some people in the back of the lorry. It's, I'll make a bit of money out of it, and I probably won't be punished if I'm caught anyway, because the government is so lax and so weak in this country that they fail to actually disincentivize people from being complicit in trafficking. Never mind people crossing. It's we need to get tougher.
Yes.
We need to get a little bit more serious about this issue, and not just wait for the boat crossings to stop and people to return to lorries and then pretend that we've fixed the issue and go, oh, look, the boats aren't coming anymore. Right. Oh, yes, because they've just moved back to going in lorries.
Well, and also because we've moved into autumn, whereby the seas will probably be slightly less calm and glass-like, which is what they have been all summer.
Yes, exactly. Less still seas, less choppy crossings, as it were. But this is the problem. The government can get away with doing nothing. They can get away with talking the talk and failing to actually do anything. Right. And then turning around in winter and saying, oh, isn't it funny that now that it's cold and wet and the waters are more choppy, people aren't coming? It must be because all of our PR stunts worked. Well, no, they know what's going on.
They do. And of course, I mean, I haven't been to Calais that recently, probably not for about 4 or 5 years, but they did change the way that the ferry ports were kind of commissioned, if you like, didn't they? Because they made it a lot more difficult for people to congregate around where the lorries actually stopped. They put a lot more fences in. They made it much more difficult for people to actually illegally get onto lorries. So are you suggesting, or are you thinking that some of these lorry drivers may be complicit then?
Well, I think a lot of people are complicit. It's a big money business. Where there's money, there's a huge financial incentive to suspend your morality and your ethical judgment for a brief period of time to make a bit of money. And a lot of people, I think, sadly, will do that, as we can see just by the sheer numbers that have been coming in. I believe during the period of November 2018 to October 2019, there were 50,000 clandestine attempts to enter Britain. So that's a huge amount of money, a huge amount of people coming over or attempting to, compared to these 6,000 who have come this year in boats. I mean, that's just the tip of the iceberg. It's the lorries, it's the cars, it's the, all manner of methods that exist apart from boats. But what we know about the traffickers is that they are very enterprising, they're very creative, and they adapt very quickly. So you can put up all manner of fences and border security and all the rest of it. They'll find a way to get around that. Yeah. What it comes down to is changing the law. It's not about putting up fences. It's not about putting up signs which say, please don't come to Britain. It's not about appointing, a clandestine Dan Amani, this chap.
Yeah, how's he getting on?
Well, I think he's been set up as a fall guy for the government, to be honest, because he has no power. Effectively, without the law behind him, what power does he have to do this? He's just a figurehead, so that they can turn around and go, oh, we appointed someone to do this job, and if they haven't done it, then it's not us to blame. Well, it is you to blame. It is the Home Office, it is the government, it is the people who have the power to change the law who are to blame for this continuing to happen.
Right. And what was the point, by the way, of putting up all these drones that we saw for quite a period of time? I don't know if the drones are still there, but they don't appear to sort of pursue any purpose particularly.
Well, again, I think it's just optics. It's all about appearing to be doing something. I mean, they could put up balloons, put up some barrage balloons in the channel. It will do just as much good. Right. It's all about giving a sense to people, oh, look, we're doing something about it, and then waiting for winter to come and the numbers to reduce naturally of their own accord, and then claiming it was the things you did that had that result, when really it will go up next year again. As soon as the seas are calm again, as soon as we enter into spring and summer, we'll see it, and it will continue to happen for year after year until we get a hold of the legal issues. It's a legal issue. We need to crack down legally. We need to disincentivize people from making these crossings by eliminating the pull factors. We need to disincentivize traffickers and people complicit in trafficking by making it making the punishment more than the financial incentive. Right. We need to eliminate all of the things that make this such an attractive prospect for traffickers and migrants alike.
Yeah, because I'm looking at a quote from the committee meeting yesterday. Jenny Coles, president of the Association of Directors of Children's Social Services, saying that they're seeing more and more unaccompanied asylum-seeking children arriving at St Pancras Station. So presumably they're coming on the train as well.
Well, exactly. This is the point. It's, you can do everything you can in the channel, and they'll just find another way. They'll be hopping on the Eurostar. I mean, the traffickers are very intelligent, and they put our government to shame, because they're so much more intelligent and creative, clearly, than our government. But maybe it's not that they're more intelligent and creative. Maybe it's just that they're more willing. Maybe they're just more motivated to do this, because our government don't care, really, when it comes down to it. They care only about making it look as though they're doing something, and all of these grand PR stunts. Whereas these traffickers know what their goal is, they know what their aim is, and they're achieving it very well indeed.
Well, they are. They're clearly more determined. And as I've said many times before, you can't really blame the individual asylum seekers, because, of course, if they can come here and get a better life, they're going to do it. But the way that they stopped it happening in Australia was by simply becoming much more hardline about just telling people, no, you can't stay here. We're going to send you back. And if you keep arriving, we're going to keep sending you back. And until such time as they realise that that's not going to work anymore, then they'll just stop coming.
Well, this is one of the things I was saying earlier about the legal changes. We need to crack down on our asylum policy, which is not fit for purpose. It is so open to abuse that they know they can come here and just play the game for years upon years and never get returned to where they came from. Until we say, if you come here and you claim asylum and you're not a refugee and you're not a legitimate asylum seeker and you've passed through countless safe countries to get here, you will not be granted asylum. You will not be allowed to enter the country even at the beginning at all. You will not get to stay here for any period of time. You will not be put up in a 4-star hotel. You will not get free health and dental care and clothing and your phone bill paid and all sorts of other soft touch namby-pamby policies, which are hugely attractive to people who are in camps in Calais or in Sudan or Iran. Until we do that, they will continue to come. And it really does come down to that. We just need to be tougher. We need to disincentivize people from coming here by making it less of an attractive prospect for them.
Absolutely right. Benjamin Loughnane, thank you very much indeed from Migration Watch UK, of course. It seems incredible, doesn't it, that there is nothing, it would appear, that the Home Office can do. Still, despite all of the protestation, despite all of the stories that are written, despite all of the videos that are shot, that basically the people who still seem to be able to come here unattended, they seem to be able to get here by any means that they wish to use, whether it's by dinghy or whether it's by train or whether it's by lorry or car, we seem incapable of stopping it. I'm surprised, actually, that these ambulance chasing and dinghy chasing lawyers haven't set up an office in St Pancras Station to get them as they come off the train and just introduce them to the world. Incredible, isn't it?